working on various development and rehabilitation projects, how much these plumbers and electricians make. You can make $100,000, $200,000 as an electrician or a plumber. Success happens when preparation meets opportunity. If our kids aren't prepared when the opportunity comes, they're never going to be successful. So we need to train these kids. With $10 billion, yes I said billion, dollars of development set to happen in Mount Vernon for the next 15 years, there's plenty of work here for our children.
Thank you. Now, in the interest of time, we have this venue from 7 to 9, and we still have a couple more things that we want to have accomplished. We'll take 2 more questions, if that's okay. So, Mr. And you had a question? Okay. So,
when you consider data for the additional K-8s, will you also consider the current data in the middle schools, which haven't succeeded in 25 years? That data is available currently. So before you do that, will you be doing that as well?
so we have a minute with that question, or if you can do it in shorter time, that would be great. Go ahead, Mr. Rivers.
Well, I won't be taking any data if it was prepared by our former president, Lenny Sarver, because obviously he's not on the board anymore, and it's for very good reasons. So I will be taking the data that, if elected, we will get new data. And we hear a lot of K-8 in every school. If that's the case, then what's going to happen to our middle schools if we put K-8? Which goes back to my saying, we have too many buildings in the city of Mount Vernon. It's costing us an arm and a leg to keep these buildings up and running operationally year after year. So once we implement that plan, I will be more than happy to look at that data, then I'll be better prepared to answer your question. Thank you.
Mr. Goodson.
You know what? We are in a restructuring, transformation process. We have a different purpose for our middle schools than before. Once we're reducing the census in the middle school, we can use them differently. So when we go talking about what Mr. Zamora was talking about before, we can have a school of excellence at A.B. Davis because the census will be something less than if we have kids in 7th and 8th grade in other buildings. So if we take a look at STEM, we can make a STEM building just like we have a performing arts center down in Longville. That is important.
Could you repeat that question?
So, the question was, in considering the data right now for K-8, in evaluating whether or not it will be expanded, K-8 will be expanded in the district, will you consider the existing data for middle schools now? Will you consider that as part of the decision-making process? Will you look at how the middle schools are doing now in deciding whether or not K-8 will be expanded?
I think we have to look at the data that from middle schools to really determine. Right now, what I see in the middle schools, not in the middle schools, but what I see coming from the middle schools, we need a change. Yes. And we really have to think about that change. I'm not sure of the data that you're looking for or anything like that, but I know we need a change in the middle schools.
The answer is yes, I will consider all data when making a decision. And currently what you know about A.B. Davis Middle School, the district has what's called a SIG grant for turnaround schools. So there's a lot of things that is happening there right now in reference to being able to turn that school around in a certain amount of time, and money from this grant is being invested, as well as staff. So you may be looking at some different data when it comes time to analyze, but I will always analyze all the data before making any decisions.
Answer is of course.
And I second that.
This middle school issue has been with us for a long time. It is really not a middle school. Everybody needs to understand that. It is not a junior high school. It is not a middle school. They call it a middle school because it's between elementary school and high school, but an official middle school would have 3 grades. This only has 2 grades in it. That's one of the issues. As an educator, I had to speak on that because a lot of people call it a middle school, thinking it's a middle school, but it's not. It's a transitional school. And just by the time the teachers learn the names of the children, they're gone. By the time the children learn where the boys' bathroom is, they're finished. And that's what it's all about. So I just wanted to clear that up. And we have to think about the age of the children at that particular time. Where K to 8 doesn't, I don't think, take into consideration that age group, the difference between adolescents and young children. So that's another factor aside from the money factor.
I was told that Yonkers is on the top 30 schools of the state. I would like to know your thoughts on how we can raise the scores of Mount Vernon School so we can get ourselves on that list. You know, I attend the Ursuline School.
So, would you repeat your question? Just so we can-
I was told that Yonkers has a school on the 30 top schools in the state. And how can we raise the scores of the Mount Vernon schools so we can get ourselves on that list? How can we get involved?
No, Yonkers High School. Yonkers High School is ranked nationally.
That's a good question. Thank you, Hannah. By the way, that's my daughter. Yes, while reading U.S. News and World Report, I noticed that as well. And we have to do something, as I mentioned in Mount Vernon, we have to do something big. And the way we get ourselves on that list is we start the School of Excellence, similar to Bronx Science, Stuyvesant High, Brooklyn Tech, New York City did that. And if we start with one school, no matter how small it is, maybe it's 50 kids per grade, maybe it's 200 kids in the whole building, 9, 10, 11, and 12. If we do a School of Excellence, we will get the bright kids to go to that school and we will be on that list. It's very simple.
Thank you.
I agree with Mr. Zamormi. I think that's the history of that specific school. So of course we look at that school because it's a neighbor, and we look at any school that has success in a similar environment. But like I said earlier, Yonkers also has 8 schools that are completely failing. So it's a similar, we have a lot of similarities with Yonkers, and we have some differences with Yonkers. But all kids need a good opportunity, and all kids need a decent school, and there will be some great schools and there will be some average schools. Let's just make sure we have no failing schools.
Thank you.
Well, one of the things that in September, whether the budget, the superintendent has said whether the budget passed or not passed, and we're hoping that it does pass because it's part of the budget, and it is the performing arts school that the district would like to start in September. And I believe it is the 29th of this month. There is a presentation that the district will be talking about, a number of presentations the district has had in regards to the performing arts. So on the 29th, that information can be given out to each of you. I'll be able to pull it up later to give you that information. Also in September, the district will be starting gifted arts and talented schools. So one school will go from K through 6, the other one will go from K through 12, but each year we'll have to add on. We can't start out, going straight from K through 12. But increasing the quality of our teachers will help in that, and that is something that the district has undertaken, providing a more rigorous interviewing process and teachers having to do demos versus just filling out an application and going through the question and answer session.
Thank you.
Of interviews.
Thank you.
To get our standards back up, we have to start at the lower grades. We have to implement programs in the K-1, 2 to get kids learning how to read. We have to give those teachers a lot of assistance and some tutoring programs for our younger children, because once the younger children, and we get them reading, they'll continue, and we will have school of excellencies in this district.
In opposition to Mr. Zamora, a school of excellence is not a school for bright children. A school of excellence is a school that does bright things with all children. And the problem with schools of excellence, I went to the Bronx High School of Science. I graduated at Bronx High School of Science, and they told me, you should go to college. Okay, I was not college material for those folks who thought Bronx High School of Science was a great place to go. So my theory is that what we have to do is for all children. And what we have to do is bring back the middle class to thinking that going to our middle schools are correct. Because what your daughter is saying is our scores aren't up, but the other side of that conversation is our children don't go to our middle schools. Our middle class doesn't go to our high schools, so we don't count their schools. That's why the scores change from elementary school to middle school. We're not counting the same children. Okay? So my argument with you and with the theory that a school of excellence is for the bright, to prevent bright flight. My argument is the school of excellence is bring back the middle class.
Thank you. Mr. Rivers.
My question on how would we increase the test scores? It's very simple. One, we need to, I can go back to this point, find the money. We're creating all these schools of excellence. This all equivalates to dollars coming out of your pocket. So with these savings, as I propose, I'm going to keep telling you that again, we have to make more emphasis on the parent outreach program. Because a teacher can teach your child everything in school. If the parent is not properly trained how to reinforce what the children has learned at home, the child's just setting the child up for failure. I mean, that's basically how we're going to increase test scores. There's no magical answer. The object is we need to find those resources. If we do an audit and find that $20 million is being wasted, then we can figure out where to allocate those resources. But at the same time, you can't have children learning from a 1975 textbook and taking a 2015 standardized test. It's just not going to happen.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, we're at our final question, and we will combine that with your closing remarks. And the question is this: why you? Why are you the ideal candidate suitable for the needs of the district at this time? And if you're an incumbent, how have you specifically contributed and advanced the cause of public education in our school district since being re-elected, and thus warrant being re-elected? Yeah, this is 3 minutes. And have you all submitted your ballots to the box? No. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Zamora. Okay, you go ahead, Mr.
Why me? Why not me? I'm the only candidate up here who's not controlled by any special interest groups, any political organizations. I'm not aligned with the power structure. Do you have something to say, Mr. Sarver?
Your jacket isn't aligned.
Would you like to come up here and take my place? So, as I said, we're going to put a real emphasis on education in Mount Vernon. When I went to public schools in Mount Vernon, we had school buses. I think it is utterly ridiculous that we have kids parading through the streets at 3 o'clock with no school buses. We're the highest tax district in America, but the kids do not have school buses. You want to improve property values, you put these kids on a bus. They're trampling through your neighborhoods, breaking signs, breaking this. This all ruins your property value. As a real estate broker at times, I don't show houses between 3 and 5 o'clock in certain parts of Mount Vernon. The reason why I bring a person here who I'm trying to sell on Mount Vernon and they see a bunch of rowdy kids, do you think they're going to invest in this community? Oh, I'm being really honest. I'm being honest with you. I know I'm engaging with you.
Sit down.
Please have some order.
Get out of here.
It's hard to sell a community when you have these problems happening. So until we correct these problems, I didn't even have to walk from the high school to home or walk from Davis to home. There were school buses. There was actually a bus to pick me up by Longfellow and bring me to Pennington Grimes School.